Coming to you live from the caverns deep beneath Wayne Manor and totally not from my mom's basement. Welcome everybody to the BatChat. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to BatChat. I guess this would be like 3.0, 5.0, something or another. We've had a lot of different iterations of BatChat. Welcome to the very first episode of BatChat in 2022. Can you believe it? I didn't think we'd make it, but we did, alas. Thank you guys so much for those of you that are joining, and for those of you listening to the podcast, and for those of you that weren't even aware of that, yes, you can now enjoy BatChat in long-form podcast format on Apple Podcast. I believe we're also on Spotify. Working on getting on a few other places as well, and hopefully you can check that out on any places where you would typically listen to your favorite podcast, and hopefully we can be your new favorite podcast. Welcome to BatChat. For those of you that don't know what BatChat is, like I said, it's a weekly live podcast that I do every Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. Central Time. We were a little bit late starting today because we were having some issues with the power. It's actually storming right now. I don't know if you can hear that in the background. But yeah, we are here, and hopefully the power stays on, and hopefully some people are able to join. Looks like we have a few people that are hopping on. If you are on, say something in the chat. I definitely want to hear from you guys. This is an interactive show after all. Oh, well, what's going on here? I hear myself. I don't want to do that. But yes, if you are in the chat, or at least if you are watching this live, please leave something in the chat. Leave a like. Share this podcast to everyone you know. I think it would be a lot of fun. So typically this would be an interactive show, but due to the nature of this first episode kind of being the way it is, the guest that I wanted to have on, we weren't able to get him to come on for today's show, but thankfully I was able to get with him earlier because it is very important to me that this particular gentleman is a part of this, and that is, of course, my good friend, John Cody Jenkins. He is this week's guest. John, BatChat is our baby. He's been a part of every iteration of BatChat that I've had, and whenever I decided I wanted to step up my game and make this more of a professional podcast and more of a professional YouTube live stream, there was no one else that I would rather have on here than, of course, my friend John. I see Aaron in the chat saying, "Take your shirt off." We'll see. I don't know if I have super chats enabled, but if I do, you guys are more than welcome to throw that in there. But so I was able to get John on here, but unfortunately and fortunately, he's got a wrestling show that he's got to do this weekend, so we had to pre-record the interview, so we'll be starting that in the near future. But to let you guys know what to expect from BatChat from here on out, we'll of course have this first segment where I'm just kind of coming on and just talking and just running my mouth and just killing time, honestly, and talking with you guys, answering any questions or comments you guys may have. Like I said, this is an interactive show, so for those of you that are watching this live on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment in there. We got people commenting on here. rxrprops and projects. Rob, hello. Hey, how are you doing, my friend? It's so good to have you. We will be seeing more of Rob later on. So how this is going to work is we'll have this first segment where I'm just sitting here talking with you guys and interacting with any comments that may be going on. And then we will have an interview portion with the guest. This week is a pre-recorded interview, so I'll be trolling myself in the comments section in the chat, so feel free to do that as well. So if you think we are ignoring your comments, just keep in mind this is a pre-recorded interview, so we do not see your comments. Just wanted to keep that in mind. Of course, keep all the comments respectful and everything, which means Aaron will most likely end up getting thrown off the stream, but it'll be all right. Man, this is going to be a fun episode. I'm very, very excited about this, and I think we're ready to go ahead and get into the pre-recorded interview. Before I forget, something else that I'm going to be doing as well that I wanted to get this out of the way. I wanted to do a cosplayer of the week. We'll be doing that at the end of the interview, so make sure you stick around for that. And by the way, for those of you who are watching this after the fact on YouTube, there will be time codes in the description once this goes live. I'll get those added in there. That way you can skip ahead to the different parts. But I wanted to highlight a cosplayer every week. Cosplay can be a very cool community, but can also be a very toxic community that's just full of weird competition that just doesn't really make a lot of sense. And so I figured to kind of mitigate that, I wanted to promote a smaller cosplay page every week. So, and I will be putting up a poll on my Instagram, again linked in the description below. If you wanted to check out my Instagram, I highly encourage you to do so. I will put out a poll every week for you guys to send me someone that you recommend. Of course, I'll pick people that I follow as well, but yeah, send in people that you are recommending to be highlighted every week. Again, mainly focusing on smaller pages. Want to try to get people out there. There's no real reason to be competitive in this field, but a lot of people are for really weird reasons. So I just wanted to point that out. So we'll be doing a cosplayer of the week every week. So make sure you put that in there. And again, the best way to nominate someone is to message me on Instagram or to fill out the poll that I'm going to be doing every single week. So be watching for that. Also, make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, which is what you're watching this on, DH Cosplay, and hit the notification bell so you know every time I go live. I expect to go live every Saturday, 2 p.m. Central. That's the goal. Hopefully, we're able to keep that going. So without further ado, I wanted to introduce my friend, my brother, someone that I absolutely love to pieces, no homo, or maybe a little, I don't know, but I absolutely love John to death, and I'm very, very excited, very excited to have him on here. So if you guys would put your hands together for my friend, the man, the myth, the legend, John Cody Jenkins. John, what's up, my friend?
Oh man, you can do an intro all right. And lies, you start out with lies, wrestling superstar, more like just a definitely not that, but anyway.
Well, you're the best professional wrestler I know, that's for sure.
Well, you know other ones, so I don't
that's
know.
True, I guess.
Yeah, well, you know a couple now, actually. So not just on my side, on your side too.
That's true. That's true. Well, I am, I was thinking, for this new version of BatChat, with this new format and everything, I was trying to think, man, who am I going to have on? I've got some really cool guests lined up already. I kind of told John, he has a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. I'm not talking too much about this just yet. Don't want to jinx it. But very excited about the things that are happening soon. And I was thinking, man, who would be the best first guest to have of this new variation of BatChat, the first guest of the new year, and no one else would take my call, so I figured I'd have John. No, you were the first person I thought of, so I really do appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, it's always good to break out and brush off dust and get in canon on things, and it's been a busy year. I haven't done much with Batman in quite a while, so always good to dive back in.
I've done a lot in Batman this year, but nowhere near as much as I'm going to be doing this upcoming year. So y'all be watching for that. All sorts of fun stuff in the works. So you've not really been much in the cosplay game recently. It's been mostly a lot of wrestling stuff. So I guess my first question for you would be, do you miss cosplay, or do you think you're happier where you're at now?
So there's like this middle ground I'm at where like there are times where I'm like, that'd be cool to tackle, but with my time management currently, and like I really hate those people that make excuses of, I don't have time to do this, because if you really want to do it, you can always make time. So I guess the answer is I don't really want to do it enough to sacrifice more of my time right now. With like I still do capes here and there, I still do orders whenever people want to do them, but there are too many talented makers out there that make suits and cows and all sorts of stuff. Like I've niched my little corner out with making capes here and there. And besides that, like there are little things that I'll see, like Spider-Man I saw on, like I'd love to, if I ever get some extra time, tackle making a Spider-Man suit to put on a mannequin. But actually sitting down and making something from scratch, it's really hard to break out the time frame right now. So
right. Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, John, has been, he's been a part of every project that I've done as far as cosplay goes. Started with my very first suit, my Batfleck Year 1 suit. which was a interesting experience. And little did I know that all these years later, I would still consider him someone that I tolerate. And he honestly, is the best cape maker in the business. I feel bad saying stuff like that because obviously you are my friend, so there is a level of bias there. But guys, I've had capes from everyone else. I have, whether it be through trades or whatever. I've had everyone else's capes, and I definitely don't want to disrespect any other makers out there, assuming there's any cape makers left. But
there's barely.
What's that?
So there's barely any makers left.
There's barely, thanks to WB. And so it's definitely one of those things where even before then, back before WB started bringing the hammer down on people as far as selling not really even copyrighted goods. That's a whole another topic which we might get into. Even when there was a bunch of other makers out there, based on everyone that I was looking at, John is still the best maker out there, and absolutely love his stuff. Still do, and I still have a couple of capes on commission from him right now that I'm very excited about. And it's really fun to have him in my corner, and always fun to bounce ideas off of him when it comes to cosplays and stuff like that. But if you are looking for a cape, he's definitely the person I would recommend for now. No, even with some things in the works, I'm still thinking I'm probably just going to recommend everyone to you, but that's neither here nor there. And so for those of you guys that are interested, maybe you're interested. This is a live show, everyone. Even if you are interested in maybe wrestling gear or something along those lines, or even capes, John's Instagram is tagged in the description below. You can also see it above his very shiny capped head. JCJ Maker Studios. Highly encourage you guys to hit him up. So, man, we have a lot to talk about. We probably won't get to half the things, but it'll still be a long podcast. So you and I have, we've been nerding out over the Batman. Robert Pattinson, Matt Reeves, been nerding out about him, as have a bunch of other people. And I think, at first, you were pretty much on board for Pattinson, or at least open-minded when it came to Pattinson pretty much from the beginning, right?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I think people get whatever. I'm treading waters. I think people get too attached to a character where they're like, "Oh, that won't work," or that's what. At the end of the day, this is a character. This is a thing. Anybody can play it. Anybody can do it. Like, I think with this community, you meet like your friends and everything, and then you get too attached to things, and then you like start thinking, well, Superman can't be this, or they can't do this, or it's movies, it's whatever. So whenever Robert Pattinson was announced, I was like, cool. What I really thought when he was first announced? As a selfish maker, I thought, cool, another cape to make. I don't give a shit. It's more money.
It's very similar to the Batfleck cape, with all the pleats and everything. I mean, it's different, but I do kind of like that they kept the pleated look. Yeah,
it's kind of like the Batfleck cape had a baby with the
Gotham
Titans, not Gotham. Thank you.
Yeah. So I remember because I was with you actually when the announcement was official. We were I think it was at MegaCon. And when it was officially announced, of course, he's been in talks to play Batman forever. It was between him and there was someone else that was. I mean, people have thrown around names like Jake Gyllenhaal, which honestly I would not. Every time I've mentioned Jake Gyllenhaal, people will be like, "That's a terrible idea." I wouldn't mind seeing Gyllenhaal as Batman. I think he would make a really cool young Batfleck if they were to go that route, but I don't think they're going that route, which we'll get into that. But Pattinson, I'll be honest, and it wasn't even a Twilight thing. I just never really, because I'm such a Batfleck fanboy. The more you guys watch this, the more you'll see I'm just a Batfleck fanboy. I mean, guys, I've got like a shrine to him in my office. Just a big Batfleck fan. And I'm sorry, don't expect to be seeing a Pattinson suit back there. Of course, I say that. Now I'm thinking like, man, Pattinson suit wouldn't be that bad. I'm kind of leaning out a little bit. Maybe I can pull it off now, but we'll see. But at first, I was nervous about the idea. It had nothing to do with Twilight. Just had to do with the fact that I just didn't know much about Pattinson. He didn't seem very intimidating. He didn't seem like he'd be able to pull it off. But then I thought about it. With the exception of Batfleck, none of the Batmen have been intimidating. I mean, Michael Keaton, I can say this being a short Batman, is a short Batman. I don't imagine anyone being that intimidated by him. We're actually the same height. No one's intimidated by me, so whatever. Kilmer, Clooney were, novelty iterations, although I have a lot of nostalgia for those guys. Obviously, Adam West wasn't scaring anyone. And even Christian Bale, who turned in an amazing performance, it was more, it became more of a meme as times went on just because of his ridiculous voice. But he wasn't like a big, imposing figure. What made him scary was, which is something that we're seeing based on these trailers, is something they're carrying over into Pattinson, was him being so mysterious and being hidden and in the shadows and stuff like that. That's really what made him so scary, but he wasn't that impressive to look at, in the suit, which is why they didn't show it that much, which I know you're a big fan of that approach. So I approached it with an open mind. I know a bunch of people that were like just livid about it. I was curious to see what would happen. And I remember when that first trailer dropped, because DC Fandom, because we were just texting at that point, because I don't think we were together whenever that happened. But we were watching DC Fandom, and that trailer dropped, and like I texted John, and his text came through at the same time, like, dude, and that was just it. Like that first trailer dropped, and it was like, okay, I'm on board completely. It's the same way I felt the first time we saw Batfleck in his suit. Because I'm not a big Ben Affleck fan at all. I just, I loved him in Daredevil, but that's just because I like Daredevil. It's, cool, nostalgic movie. But I wasn't just a big Ben Affleck fan. I thought, well, I mean, he's a decent looking guy, make a good Bruce Wayne, but, I don't know how good he'd look in a suit. Then they revealed the perfect bat suit, in my opinion. I know you tend to disagree, but they revealed him in that bat suit, and I'm like, okay, I'm on board. I felt the same way when I saw the first trailer drop. I did not feel that way the first time we saw the Pattinson suit. That took some time to grow on me. I'll be honest with you. But it definitely has grown on me, not to the point where I think I'm going to cosplay it. But it's definitely something that I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm looking forward to seeing it in action, looking forward to seeing it. And I've seen a lot of people do cosplays of it. And I'm like, your cosplay actually looks better than the actual movie, but it's all right. I'm excited to see it.
I think part of the issue everybody had with that suit is the first images you saw of it was the stunt cycle and the stunt man with the weird cowl and everything. Yeah. So everybody had that burned in their brain. So even when they saw the suit in action, they still had that. Like, I think that tarnished a lot of people's views on it, because in my opinion, that is a creepy motherfucker right there.
Yeah.
Like, that's... Okay, whatever. Batfleck appears at the end of your bed at night. It gives off like a I'm trying to think of the vibe it would give off. Like, I would be scared he's a big dude, but I'd probably reach for a gun,
Right.
I see Homeboy in the corner, all mangled up, big mouth hole, just, bro, not a chance.
It's creepy.
I'm done. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do the old school, what you did when you were 6 years old, and you were scared, and you just thought if you cover yourself completely under the covers, it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. That's why I like this version of it. I like from what I've seen of it, I love the way they're filmed him and how he looks. I think the worst thing you can do to Batman is overexpose him.
Well, yeah, and I think based on what I'm hearing on some behind-the-scenes stuff, it depends. I tend to agree with that, but it really depends, because from what I'm understanding, he's going to be Batman for the majority of this movie. So it kind of depends, because we're going to see, based on everything I'm seeing from the trailers, we're going to see every aspect of Batman, which is really cool, because you don't really get to see a lot of that. Some get it more than others. We're going to see in public Bruce Wayne, or we're going to see the emergence of that, because this is kind of year 2. He doesn't really have much of a public persona, but based on this last trailer, that might be changing. So we're going to see public persona Bruce Wayne. We're also going to see the dark, tortured, unmasked Batman Bruce Wayne, where you almost get the sense that he feels more comfortable in the suit than out of it. And then we're going to see, more, which is also going to be where he's doing a lot of his detective work. Then we're going to see Batman when he is, with Alfred, with Selina, probably at his most comfortable. Like that's his default setting. And then you're going to see vengeance. You're going to see Batman. And honestly, I was really nervous to see how the fight choreography would be, especially after the warehouse fight with Batfleck, just seeing that, like, best Batman fight scene ever. But you see a lot of them there. And I'm like, Pattinson's just not going to do that. I mean, he's not going to be able to pull that off. But then seeing some of these trailers and seeing how he can pick apart a bunch of thugs, he's definitely a lot more methodical, a lot more, he fights smarter. But then sometimes he just gets a fire lit under his butt and just starts wailing on people, which is a lot of fun. In this last trailer, he's like beating the piss out of people with the barrel of a shotgun or the handle of a shotgun, which I'm like, okay, I'm cool with that. So I think we're going to see. This is definitely the word character study is used so much and often incorrectly, but I do think this is going to be very much a character story when it comes to Batman. So I think there's advantages and disadvantages to that. I think you're going to see a lot of the suit, and I think the suit is going to be very demystified because there's several scenes where it looks like he's working on it. But I think the scenes where he is out being Batman, you're not going to see a lot of it. It's going to be a lot of heavy shadows and stuff. So I think it's going to be a little bit of best of both worlds, unless you just don't want to see the suit at all. But I can just about guarantee you're going to see a lot of the suit, and I don't think they're going to do a Batman Begins thing where you like see him build it, put it together. But you're definitely going to see him working on it, fixing different aspects and stuff like that. But how would you feel about something like that? Are you okay with it in that context? You just mean you don't want to see him like with a spotlight on him?
That's fine. It's become kind of a formula that they use. They're like, oh, this is going to sell the movie having this bat suit, or this is like half the people go these days not because of the movie, they go because of the suit. When it comes to Batman, at least in my opinion,
right?
Spider-Man, that's a little different, stuff like that. But I think that's like a lot of. I love watching fan films. I started watching a fan film the other night. Can't remember the name of it for the life of me, but it's relatively new. And from like had a great cape, great cowl, and then as soon as they showed the suit, it was EVA film. It takes you out of it. Like if they would have if they film it, I will say this till the end of time. Gotham filmed it perfectly up until if they would have just trimmed the last 3 seconds off that episode. Right. Where it zoomed in, if they would have just blew right past them where you didn't get a good look. Titans was close. Titans kind of did pretty good until there was a couple things that they needed to clean up the flat. So I'm okay with seeing him work on the suit. I'm okay with you're going to see him in the suit. Nobody's going to go out and film a Batman movie without seeing a lot of Batman. I think that's
toys. Yeah,
you got to sell the toys. You got to sell the Batmobile. You got to sell all that. Like for them to go through, I would love to see somebody take a movie and make it more about somebody else. That Batman's more of just a character that comes into it, that it still revolves around Batman, but it doesn't have to be just so Batman driven. I think would be a very interesting take.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, we've definitely had movies like that. It tends to be more like animated. We haven't really seen that a lot in live action. But in a lot of the animated movies, Batman's just kind of like Batman Year One, which this movie takes a lot of inspiration from. For those of you that have read it or seen the excellent animated movie, it's not a Batman movie. It's a Jim Gordon movie. So whereas this one, it definitely seems like it's going to be very Batman focused. He's going to be Batman for 90% of the movie, I would guess, or at least a variation of Batman. He's not going to be like Playboy billionaire Bruce Wayne, I don't think, but maybe for a few scenes. It's going to be like Batman Begins in a lot of ways. But where was I going with that? Again, live show, everyone. But I definitely think because there is going to be a Gotham PD HBO Max show, apparently, that's still happening. And I think Batman's going to be a part of it, but he's going to be kind of a similar thing. It's going to be mainly focused on Jim Gordon and the GCPD, and not so much on Batman, which I'm kind of excited about that. The more Batman stuff we have or Batman-related projects, the better. Although I hope it's not a situation where it's like, oh. And we're back. Okay. I wonder why I did that. Maybe just ran out of time.
Every 30 minutes resets, I bet. Because you have a 3-minute record time limit.
Gotcha. Well, I'm not... Okay. I guess it is technically recording, but okay. Well, good to know. So again...
Be my guess.
because that's been we've been on for about 30 minutes on this call. Yeah, right at 30 minutes. So that makes sense. Okay, so back on track here. So I'm excited to see that, but I hope they don't go the Agents of Shield route where the show goes in such a different direction from the rest of the MCU that they like, okay, guys, this takes place in another continuity. Well, it didn't until you just didn't pay attention to the story. So that's the good and the bad of having a interconnected universe or things like that of various related properties. Yeah, properties.
Yeah, but at this point, I don't think it's connected. I don't think anything's connected in the DC world anymore.
Well, it's not going to be, and we'll definitely get into the DCEU. Like, the Batman is going to have its own cinematic universe. That's already been confirmed. The GCPD show is Jeffrey Wright, I think. Is that the guy who's playing Jim Gordon? I think that's right. Sorry if I didn't get that right. But, see what I did there? Right. So he is Jim Gordon, and it is that Batman. I think this actually it takes place over year one, which is really cool, especially with it being more of a Jim Gordon-focused show. But it is that continuity, which is fine. Yeah. When I'm talking about shared continuity, I'm like, okay, if you're going to do a GCPD show, cool. The only problem is you can't really have any stakes because, like, if this is a prequel, technically, well, you're not going to scare me with Jim Gordon nearly dying because I've seen him in the movie, you know. So you're limiting yourself in that regard. But like if you wanted to expand that, like there's a Batgirl HBO Max show where Michael Keaton is that Batman because that makes sense. It's, you know, whatever. Did you hear that announcement?
I heard he's the new Batman for whatever it is. Yeah, it's just, here's the thing. It's not going to go, I don't think it's going to go well. It's one of those things, like, honestly, what DC needed was, in my opinion, a clean wash. Like just a clean sweep. I'd have probably backed off of doing movies for probably 5-6 years.
Or just like, because you have the perfect opportunity with the Flash movie. But what I'm afraid of is Flash could do a Flashpoint thing and just reset the universe. And then you don't worry about Justice League, nothing. Just make a good Batman movie, which they are. Make a good Wonder Woman movie. I love Gal Gadot. If it means we're losing Gal Gadot, whatever it is. If it means we're losing her because Wonder Woman 84 sucked. If it means we're losing her because we need a new Wonder Woman, fine. Sorry. I love Henry Cavill's Superman, but if we need a clean slate, and he's apparently James Bond now, and which, by the way, props to the dude. Like, can you imagine playing some of the most iconic characters in fiction, like James Bond and Superman? That's ridiculous. Like, next thing you know, he's gonna play Jesus in the next Passion of the Christ reboot, and like he'll just have all the iconic characters. So it'd be amazing. But props to the guy. But if that means we're losing him, Superman, that's fine. And I appreciate you, John, not making a fiction joke. I really do. I saw it. I saw it spinning. So, but and I know that's what that means. But like, we'll get into Batgirl. Let's finish the Batman discussion first. But that's a whole can of worms. I know you don't care so much, but I'm like, WB, why are you doing the stupidest thing possible? And they may not be. I have a theory, but we'll talk about that. So on the Batman, the new trailer looks great. Very excited to see Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. Definitely think they're doing a different take from what we've seen in the past. Good. In my opinion, we have not had a good take on Catwoman lately in the movies. As far as like a comic style Catwoman, everyone's going to hate me because of Michelle Pfeiffer. Michelle Pfeiffer is not a comic style Catwoman, dude. she's a cat burglar. And in the Burton movies, because Burton doesn't know anything about comics, he's like, yeah, Catwoman, she got cat powers, right? Okay, we're just going to have her fall in a trash truck that happens to be carrying cat litter because that's the thing that happens. And then, you know, she gets thrown out of a window or something and cats lick her wounds. That's from the comics, I think. Yeah, we're going to go with that. So, yeah, screw Tim Burton. So, like, that's not a good version of Catwoman. I get your nostalgia and your boners and everything. I get that. But still not a good Catwoman. Anne Hathaway, I think, was a really good Catwoman for that take. But she wasn't quite But also, like, that Batman wasn't comic Batman, which I'm sure was going to be your counterpoint. Like, I think she was the perfect Catwoman for that take of the movie, but for the kind of vibe they're going for here, I don't think she would have worked. But Zoe Kravitz looks amazing. I hope they put her in a decent looking suit at some point. The suit looks good. The cowl thing, which I get, it's a year 2 type thing with, like, it happens to be sewn in such a way it looks like little ears. I'm like, okay, that's cute. Put her in a cowl, please, or something along those lines. I'm just not a big fan of that. It's kind of like with the whole Anne Hathaway thing where the things flip up because they're too embarrassed to put her in a Catwoman cowl. It's cool. Like, I get the throwback. But, guys, we're making, for one thing, side note, and you can fight me on this, the one time that Chris Nolan didn't do the we're going to make this super realistic and believable thing, why on earth would you have a cat burglar with all of her hair hanging out? Like, in my opinion, a Christopher Nolan real-world Catwoman would have a full cowl. That way she's not leaving hair all over the place. Guys, I don't know if you have been around a woman before. They shed. Like, they leave hair all over the place. And she's got this long, beautiful, flowing brown hair. Love Anne Hathaway. But, Jesus, that was stupid. But I thought it was kind of cool when the little ear things come up. I'm not saying that was bad. I'm just saying that's kind of dumb, especially in the context of an ultra-realistic movie. So I hope they don't go that route here. I see your wheel spinning, so I'll give you a chance to counter.
No, I mean, everybody has a right to their shit opinion.
I mean, I get it. It's and then we're not even going to mention Halle Berry because that was not Catwoman. I know that your wife is a big fan of that.
Hold on. That's Julia's favorite Catwoman. That's the costume to do. That's Julia's favorite Catwoman.
Well, yeah, I love the costume. I'm just saying, like, that's just not Catwoman.
It is, though. But here's the thing, though. Hold on now. This is what you've got to look at here. That's not your Catwoman.
That's true. That's also not most people's Catwoman, which is why that movie tanked.
But what I'm saying is like, to some people that saw as a child growing up 89, Michelle Pfeiffer is the perfect Catwoman.
Right.
The people that saw the Batman, Christopher Nolan, grew up on that. That's the perfect Batman. Like, that's Batman to them. So that's it's more so, I think, when you were born and when you saw it, when you were exposed to it, kind of what age range you are. Like, if I had saw Catwoman at the age range where I was impressionable and, you know, whatever it was, that would have been my Catwoman. I think that's kind of how Julia, she saw it at that age, and that's her Catwoman. So
yeah, I could totally see that. So when this is gonna sound like I'm backtracking. I'm not. I still don't like that version of Catwoman at all. Like, I do think there's always room for interpretation. Like, for instance, perfect example. Like, I was born in '95. Kevin Conroy is the voice I hear when I read Batman comics because he was Batman when I was a kid. And for me, Tobey Maguire is my favorite Spider-Man. I know you're more of an Andrew Garfield fan. I do love Andrew Garfield. And look, it's been 2 weeks, so if you haven't seen No Way Home, get a life. So I think he stole the show in No Way Home, and dude,
I don't want to get into that more. People piss me off. They shit on him so hard for his stuff, and then he comes back, and now they're he's the best. He's blah blah blah.
I'll give you that 100%. Now listen, I've had my critiques of him, but I've always said I liked him as Spider-Man. I never had an issue with him as Spider-Man. And every time I've ever had any critique for him, I've made this exact argument. When people say, like, Ben Affleck's the most comic accurate Batman, I'm like, okay, you can have that to an extent, but it depends on which Batman you're looking at. Because for the version of Batman that they were going for, which is definitely kind of a Dark Knight Returns, style Batman, obviously he's perfect. But if you're going for the campy 60s Batman, Adam West is the most comic accurate Batman. So, like, going to the Spider-Man argument,
that's back to what you grew up on, your version of comic Batman. Because nobody's as accurate as the OG Batman comics. Nobody drives a red fucking Corvette.
Right.
Nobody, or whatever the hell it was, like the original Spider-Man. Like, there's the original Superman. Like, that's what it was.
There's not much characters You're talking about characters that have been around for 60 and 70 years. Like, there's so many different interpretations. I would argue all of the Spider-Man that we have had have been comic accurate. It's not the same comics. I think Tobey Maguire nails that old school, kind of goofy, campy, Steve Ditko, Stan Lee, old school Spider-Man. I think he nails that. Andrew Garfield is a great Ultimate Spider-Man because he's edgy, he's angsty, he's not really as much quippy. He's really just more of a smartass, which is cool. Like, I like that. And that was the version of Spider-Man that I grew up on. I still favor Tobey Maguire because those are the movies I watched when I was a kid, but at least I admit stuff like that.
Spider-Man grew up on watching.
Exactly. And Tom Holland, I will give him this, is a very comic accurate Miles Morales, except for one minor thing. But it does seem like they're fixing a lot of that, which is good. But
here's my thing on that. That's another thing. That's just your take on it. I think he's a great Spider-Man. I think he's a great take on Spider-Man. I don't think he's a ripoff of Miles Morales. I think he's a fine version of his own Spider-Man. I think the Iron Man story, it's very brave these days to take a story and change it that much. Like for us to get a Spider-Man that didn't involve Uncle Ben was crazy to hear.
It took balls, yeah.
And in my opinion, I think that build of Spider-Man is the best one we've had. Now, my favorite is still Andrew Garfield. I liked Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. I think his suit in the first and second one are the top suits. I think the Spider-Man suit from Homecoming, I really dig. I think the best homemade suit is from Homecoming. Mm-hmm. I really liked the wrestler suit because they have Macho Man and there's Bonesaw. You got 3 minutes, kid. But like when you break it down, like I still love the Tobey Maguire movies, but going back and watching those and comparing them, like I'm very good now. I've been able to. I guess this is more the way I take my life. I view everything from an outside perspective as a whole, and then take it as how I like it now, how I feel it. Like there's still nostalgia, of course, but I like to look at things of how I like things versus just going off what my memory was as a kid. That's like, if I went off what my memory was, animated series Spider-Man is fucking fantastic to this day. Right. And it is hard to watch now.
Dude, I was watching it earlier today, in fact, because I've just been on a Spider-Man kick lately. And, I went back and watched some of my favorite episodes from when I was a kid, like the Black Suit Saga and some of them with Venom, all the Green Goblin stuff. And I'm just like, oh, this is so hard to watch. This is terrible. But yeah, your nostalgia, I'm not going to say it necessarily blinds you, but it gives you rose-colored glasses for sure. And it's like an Instagram filter. You can take someone that, looks like me and make them look halfway decent with an Instagram filter. And that's pretty much what these movies are. We have to start using those terms now because no one knows what rose-colored glasses are anymore.
It also means, it's also one of the, it's like, everybody has, or a lot of people have this, like, oh, well, my generation's this, or my version was better. So many people have this, like, claim to, oh, well, my version, like, if you're like, at the end of the day, it's like wrestling now. Like I have a very preferred taste of a certain style of wrestling, and other people have a preferred taste of their style of wrestling, and I may think that wrestling sucks dick for Skittles, and there's no Skittles at the end of the rainbow. But hey, that's everybody's own take, and everybody can enjoy what they want to enjoy. And I think what really needs to happen is everybody needs to kind of back off a little bit and go, if you enjoy that, that's dope. I don't give a shit. Yeah. Like, I'm going to enjoy what I enjoy, you enjoy what you're enjoying. And, like, I think this is another thing. At the end of the day, we don't own these characters. WB owns Batman, or whatever the case may be, Marvel and Disney and all that. Like, it's their job to do what the hell they want with them.
Right.
Like, we can say what we want, but at the end of the day, we're not putting the money forward to do what it is. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is an element of being able to kind of vote with your wallets, but at the end of the day, you're right. They're going to do what they're going to do, and, like, no one's going to... And when I say those things about Tom Holland being a Miles Morales, that's just because, other than the fact that he's white, everything that made Miles unique from Peter... Or wait, I got that backwards. Whatever, you know what I'm saying. they gave that to this version of Spider-Man. I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, because I do think it's a great interpretation, but it's also like, okay, what are you going to do when you inevitably bring Miles into this? Because now Miles is definitely just going to be just a race swap version of the same character, which I feel like would kind of piss some people off. So what are you going to do with him now? But we'll see.
Yeah, I do that kind of differently. Like with the Tom Holland version, like I don't see the hardcore link of the Miles story as you do, but that's just me.
Yeah, we might have to get into that in a different episode. Welcome to Spider Chat, everyone. But this is just what happens. So let's see. Do we have any? I guess now let's move into the Batman. What are some things that going back to that? As far as the suit goes, I think you and I kind of have the same opinion on it. I think it's cool. It's unique. It's definitely one of the things I do like about it, and it's a thing that annoyed me at first, but it at least to me, I'm learning to kind of accept it. It looks like something a billionaire kid, because I think he's in his early 20s. It looks like something a billionaire kid would put together, because everyone says, well, he's a billionaire. Why can't he just make something better? I know people think that being a billionaire is like having superpowers, but it's not. You can't just like, and these things happen like in the Nolan movies, where it just so happens that all this stuff is there. Like, you know, that's just kind of lazy writing. So in this case, like, it looks like he and Alfred put this thing together, but don't know anything about building bat suits. And it's a very believable first suit. Now, that being said, I really want there to be a Lucius Fox that is like, okay, let's fix some of this stuff and upgrade it, and him look more like Batman. Have him more, I hate to say professional suit, but you know what I mean, like a suit more along the lines of what we've seen. I would love to see him in like a Telltale style armor, but I don't see that version of Batman building it himself. So I would like to see some sort of Lucius Fox type figure come in and upgrade the suit. But I do like the thrown together nature of it, of how it's just it looks, it's very practical, and it doesn't look like like the Nolan thing. Like, I know you love the Begin suit, and I do too, but the Nolan thing always kind of drove me nuts. Like, hey, I'm looking for a suit. Oh, we have this, you know, $500,000, you know, suit sitting in a drawer somewhere. Just happens to be your dimensions. Spray it with some black latex, and you have a bat suit. Like, I don't know. To me, I've always felt like that was extremely lazy, but they had to do something.
I'm fine with saying story-wise is lazy, but suit-wise, beautiful.
Right. I agree. The suit is great. What would have been better to me is you see him in a suit like we see Pattinson in, and then Lucius Fox, you know, gets brought into the fold and designs him that suit. Just change that one scene, literally, because they designed the cowl. Like, that's cool. Change one scene where he goes to Lucius and says, hey, because he did that in Dark Knight, where he's like, hey, I'd like to be able to turn my head. You know, they make the whole back end of the driveway joke or whatever. Like, cool, just do that. But the whole, like, you know, we just happen to have an amazing bat suit in a drawer somewhere, just feels kind of lazy. I hope they don't do that here. But I do like the suit, and I like that they do the thing that most Spider-Man movies and most superhero movies, Spider-Man is definitely more guilty of this. It's a more believable, like, yeah, a kid made this. Because, like, as much as I love the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man suit, he did not make that. And you're not going to make something like that yourself. Of course, if you read some of the novelization, if you were a nerd like me, you know that he got that from a wrestling costume provider, much like John. So this is where we have our sponsored video. I should have asked you to make a commercial. That would have been a perfect segue. Oh, man. Next time. But so that kind of explains that. Huh?
I have like a little JCJ Gear commercial.
Oh, great! Send that to me. I'll interject it here, and I'll edit this. I wasn't going to edit this, but I'll edit that in. I might leave this part in just so people know I'm an idiot.
One thing on the Batman suit. I think it is the most copacetic suit with the Batmobile. Like,
that was a fancy word.
Yeah, and the Bat Cycle, from what we've seen of it. I think all those things blend perfectly. Like, the other one that would be the closest to me would be the DOJ Batmobile and suit. That was pretty damn close, but like even that felt, honestly, the tactical suit went with the Batmobile than the DOJ suit did to me.
I can kind of see that, actually. I can.
Yeah.
To me, like, I don't know. I can see that. So, but like even like with Andrew Garfield, they showed him like doing the screen printing and everything like that. But I'm like, you're still not making that suit at home, dude. And at least with Tom Holland, RDJ just threw one together.
I'm going to fight for Garfield here. Like the soles of the damn suit are glued on sneakers.
Yes, I'm not disagreeing with you. Yes, I believe he glued the soles on, and the glasses.
The screen printing thing though, they showed him doing the screen printing thing. Like, come on, if this kid is smart enough to make his own web shooters, you tell me he can't figure out screen printing when people we know do screen printing,
right?
And they ain't smart.
I'll back off the Andrew Garfield thing, but I'm still saying it still feels a little unrealistic, but it's a comic book movie, so it's not going to be completely realistic. But to me, I'll backtrack. I'll say this. The Pattinson suit is the most easily believable suit that a kid would make himself. How about that?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm fine with that. I was fine with the other thing. I was just saying, like, screen printing's not rocket science.
It's really not. I mean, like you said, there's some people I know of that, don't understand how glue and contact cement works, but they can figure out screen printing. Get off that topic. So anyway, so I like the suit. I definitely am curious to see what the version 2 suit's going to be. I definitely think we're going to see it towards the end of the movie. I really am just curious to see. Are they going to improve some elements? As much as I know you like the cowl, I definitely think the cowl is the weakest part of that suit. I would like to see one. I like the helmet idea. The not to plug them. I don't even know if they're still in business, but Jordan Iconic Armory. I think I'm saying that right. He had that like helmet thing. I would honestly. What's that?
I've tried one on. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay. I would like to see something like that, like a Captain America style, like a more helmet idea as opposed to a full-on cowl. Like, I wouldn't want to see him in like a Batfleck cowl. Like, that just doesn't fit the aesthetic of his suit. And as much as I prefer the one-piece, cape and cowl looking thing, as much as I prefer that aesthetically, I think for the kind of suit that he's going for, I like the more tactical two-piece cowl type thing. I like the pop collar. People hate the pop collar. I think the pop collar is cool. I like it. I think honestly, if they make a good improvement on the cowl, it'd be really, really cool. I would appreciate that. Give him some white eyes. I think that'd be really cool as well. Although I do appreciate that you see the panda eyes on him. I think that's a really cool touch. But man, for me, I would love to see his final suit being a Telltale style suit.
Yeah, I think Telltale could be good. I mean, I think they've done the muscle suit now. I don't think they're going to go back to that. I wouldn't have a problem if they did. Because, honestly, what I wouldn't have a problem with is it go from kind of that to, a leaner rebirth-style suit and then end it with a Telltale suit, Because that's one thing we've never... we've got... How do I put this? We got Bale, who in the first one was, this fucking brawler size, which is kind of my favorite size Batman. That brawler...
Me
that
too.
kind of thick boy, chunky, I call it a. Hold on, I got to think of
wear.
Well, I'm trying to think of a better. I got to think of a way to call it without the word I want to actually use.
Yeah, I know how much you try to censor yourself. So, I'm not doing a cuss counter, by the way. I'm just not.
I'm just gonna say what I call cock strong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Them boys you see that them blue collar boys, they throw hell bays over their shoulder, walk 6 miles, and then take your girl later that night. That's that size that I like.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, we've never really got a super like we had a little bit back in the 90s, like a leaner Batman, but I think like a nice, lean, quick moving Batman would be a good thing for Pattinson to go down that road. Because even now, he's got this thick upper body that kind of chunks him up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I think it wouldn't be nothing wrong with leaning him out a little bit, changing up the suit dynamics a little bit. Like too many people get focused on the size of him. He's got to be imposing. He doesn't got to be imposing if he's not seen. He doesn't have to be this muscle mass guy if he comes in, strikes when you're not expecting it, which is the way he's supposed to do.
Well, I mean, even Batman in the comics, is very rarely drawn to be huge. Like Batfleck, Batfleck wasn't Dark Knight Returns big. I would say Batfleck was Hush big. If you read Hush, he's definitely he's bigger there. But in most Batman comics, he's drawn about like that. He's drawn pretty lean. I would love to see him in a Rebirth style suit, honestly. That Telltale, I think, if they're going for the armored vibe, I tend to prefer the more muscle suit vibe. Honestly, I think aesthetically speaking, it being kind of like the I don't want it to be black. Please don't make it black. But kind of similar to the Far From Home stealth suit, where it looks like a Kevlar padded type thing, kind of like white sheep leather. Maybe we shouldn't mention brands. I don't want people thinking this is sponsored because it's not, unless they want to send me free stuff. In which case, yeah, I'll take it as a sponsor. But kind of like how they take that headliner foam and kind of give it some structure. It's not padded like a muscle suit, but it does have some like a musculature to it, kind of like a Noel type thing. I would love to see something like that. Proportionally speaking, because they have a similar build, kind of like, because Tobey Maguire wore a muscle suit. Kind of that proportion. Like, I think that's a good size, and it's believable.
Yeah.
Like,
because all they did was they cleaned out his legs a little bit, or thickened up his legs, a little bit of his chest and shoulders.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I would. I'm in the middle. I'm open for it to go wherever. If they stick with the suit throughout the whole thing, I don't have a problem with that either. Like, at the end of the day, I don't think they're going to. I think that suit's going to get blown to shit, and they're going to change that up. Plus, they can only make so many toys. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, they're gonna need to make toys. They're gonna definitely make some updates to the suit. Which, I mean, the second suit is confirmed, but they're going to make new suits. There's no doubt about it. But how different and what vibe is still to be seen. Excuse me. Let's move into story for a little bit. We know a little bit about what this story is going to be. So I'm really more interested to see kind of what your opinion is as far as the overarching theme. Because, I mean, this is a trilogy. So, I do think there is going to be an element of a more episodic nature where it is going to not really villain of the week, but like this is obviously very Riddler and Penguin. I actually don't even think it's Penguin focused. I think it's mainly Riddler focused. But, so we have that for this first movie. And there's some rumors about the guy from the Eternals. Sorry, I can't remember his name. Is supposedly going to be the Joker. I really don't see that. I've seen the Photoshop that everyone has done. I don't really see that. It wouldn't bother me, but I really don't see that. But I think they are definitely going to bring Joker in at some point. But as far as like an overarching theme over the course of a trilogy, what would you like to see happen? As far as like side characters, other Bat family members, villains, what are some things you'd like to see?
I mean, I still say Red Hood's the best story that's never been put on screen. To me, that's the best. But getting that done in this universe would be like, don't get me wrong, the Red Hood character would work great in this universe from what I'm seeing. But getting Batman to I have a protege type deal would be really hard to sell for me. I think they could do a version of it. I think they could have more of the Bruce Wayne have a protege that like maybe he looks after like something that he saves a kid and that kid has nowhere to go and somebody he looks after and that kid would become a Red Hood. Not so much a Jason Todd or not so much a Robin that became a Red Hood, more of just a Jason Todd that became a Red Hood.
So like skipping Robin altogether for him.
Yeah, like don't get him, have him be his Robin as Bruce Wayne. Like his guy, his person, and then, sorry, I got a text message. I think that would be the only way you could play that up if you did Red Hood, because I just don't see this version of Batman going, "Come here, little buddy, hop on up here."
See,
Come on.
See here, I like that idea. We haven't talked about this before. I actually kind of like that idea. I'm surprised how much I like it. I could see that happening. Oh, and we're back. All right. So I can see that happening. I would honestly, because this suit shares a lot of aesthetic elements with the White Knight suit, the Bat suit does, with the pop collar, the cowl's kind of similar. I wouldn't mind seeing a White Knight version of this where Jason Todd's actually the first Robin. And then, so like, in my opinion, it would be hard to explain, like, because Jason Todd being the second Robin, like, you need a more experienced Batman for that, so it'd take you forever to build up to Under the Red Hood. Because you need some time to pass. You need some experience there. So unless they do, like, a big time jump between these movies, which I don't think would be the best idea, unless they do a tie-in HBO Max show that kind of fills in the gaps, which would be kind of cool or something. But even then, you're really pushing it. You still need time. I wouldn't mind seeing like a Jason Todd, like, wouldn't it be cool if this movie ends with Jason Todd stealing tires off the Batmobile, and then the second movie you see him as Robin. Let there be a little bit of a time jump, but he's an older Robin. Like, I don't want to see someone running around in booty shorts and elf shoes, which I don't think they would in this universe anyway. But have a Robin style character. But he does get kidnapped by Joker, and then all that stuff happens. And then Dick Grayson comes in as the second Robin, but he's not a Robin, he's Nightwing. Just skip Robin altogether. Maybe
I just don't see him working with somebody in this universe.
I don't in this movie, but I feel like he's got a big character arc. I mean, this is definitely a character-driven movie. So I don't know which direction they're going to go. He's either going to... Because, okay... We're going to learn some stuff about the Waynes that in this continuity is different from other movies. Like, based on what I'm seeing, it's going to be kind of like the Telltale thing. What?
Nothing, I was just thinking about old stories.
It's going to be like the Telltale games and a few other Elseworlds comic books where the Waynes are going to be corrupt or at least involved with some sketchy stuff. So that is either going to make him go even harder and be even more ruthless and even more vicious and vengeful, or it's going to soften him a little bit and try to, and when I say soften him, not necessarily soften Batman, that's either going to make Bruce Wayne more of a recluse, or it's going to make him basically try to make up for the sins of his dad and really go even further, which is going to make him a little bit softer and maybe open him up a little bit more to working with someone. So depending on how this character arc goes, is either we'll know by the end of this movie if we're ever going to see a Bat family member. He's either going to be more open to it or he's going to be hell-bent against it. That being said, even if he's hell-bent against it, I still think they're going to do it to an extent because they just can't resist. And I think they should. I mean, honestly, people can make jokes all they want about, like, Robin, being silly or whatever. Robin is, Robin's been a part of Batman literally since the beginning. There's only been 2 years in Batman's history, where he didn't have Robin. Once he was invented, he was always a part of it, like in some way or another. Yes, we have our cool lone Batman stories, but Robin is always, he's just like Alfred. That's just a part of Batman. If you're trying to get that vibe. So I think it's very annoying that we haven't seen Robin. Literally, the last reference we have to Robin is in, at least in the Snyderverse, the end of Justice League and that little cameo of the Robin suit in Batman vs. Superman. But when the last version of Robin that we have is Batman and Robin, like, Robin needs a redemptive arc. And no, I'm not counting Dark Knight Rises because he was never intended to be Robin. That was just a cute little Easter egg that they threw in literally last minute, just like, oh, this would be cute. He wasn't supposed to be a Robin type character. That was never a thing. So stop doing the Photoshop thing. He was supposed to be the next Batman. So that's all I'm saying there. But like, we haven't had any representation of Robin other than Titans. I guess we should count that. But, as far as these movies are concerned, like, Batman and Robin, I think it's about time to see that again, and I'd be curious to see how they handle it in this universe.
Now, something I could see happening if they run this way is because we don't know exactly where he came from. Like maybe when he was in the League of Shadows or whatever, there was somebody that he was really close with that was maybe a little younger. He looked after while he was in the League of Shadows. I could see that coming into play as like his Robin. I just don't know if he would pick somebody up off the street at this point. But I'm probably wrong.
Well, I could see. So I can see that. I wouldn't mind seeing more of a partner role than a sidekick, like someone close to his age. Because I think he's supposed to be in his mid-20s, like 25, 26 in this movie. Like if he found a 20-year-old or something, someone that close to age range, that'd be kind of cool. Or maybe a teenager. I don't know. I mean, they can do like an older teen, like 17, 18, 19, something like that. I like that idea. But again, depending on how this character arc goes, that would be a neat way to end. Okay. Brain thing here. So in the first trailer, we see him beat the piss out of the guy, who says, who the hell are you? I'm vengeance, all that stuff. There's a couple of guys in the background from that gang. What if one of those guys is Jason Todd? And he is, scared to death of Batman after seeing that. So he maybe leaves that gang, but he's still trying to, make ends meet. So you see him stealing tires off the Batmobile or something like that, huh?
Son of Batman type deal.
Broke up there.
The son of Batman type deal.
Yeah, kind of like that, where he's kind of Sons of Batman type thing. Not quite though. You see just that one guy trying to steal tires off the Batmobile, or maybe not even do the stealing tires off the Batmobile. He's trying to turn straight, and Batman catches him somewhere. And normally he would have just beat the dude up and been done with it, but because of some things that happened in this movie, he tries to show him another way. That'd be a cool way of doing it. I would rather see something like that than like, even though it's a classic story, like this kid's parents get killed in a circus and Bruce Wayne's just like making it through the crowd. Hold on, let me get the kid. It's just a little weird. I would rather not see something like that. So I'm fine with you changing that historical element of Batman and doing something a little bit more, a little easier to explain. I think it just makes sense for this time frame. It would be cool to see Jason first, and then move into Red Hood, and then like Robin being, like, I do want to see Robin. Don't get me wrong. I don't want them to avoid him being Robin, but I wouldn't mind seeing like Dick Grayson just coming in and immediately like, I don't want to be Robin, I'm my own thing, and just be Nightwing. That'd be cool. Because we know it's going to that point. Like with Jason, as soon as you say the name Jason Todd, they're like, okay, we're just counting down till we see the crowbar. As soon as we see Dick Grayson in a Robin suit, it's like with Titans. We're just counting down till we see him in the Nightwing suit. Which if you watch Titans, you were probably very disappointed by that Nightwing suit. But, and with Tim Drake, I guess Tim Drake is still kind of synonymous with Robin, but it'd be cool to like see a Red Robin, kind of thing. But I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing a character arc that, maybe he tries to help a young Jason Todd, try to steer him straight a little bit. That'd be kind of cool.
I think what we're going to get with these movies is I think this is going to very much link all together at the end. I think you've got to do Court of Owls. I think that's the only way it's going to.
Oh, I have no doubt Court of Owls is going to be a part of this. I think they're saving that because that's also something we've never seen in the movies. We're going to see it in Gotham Knights, the video game, but I would love to see that in the movie. Very iconic story, modern iconic story.
I kind of see them going through the first villain, second villain, then maybe bring in Joker for the last one, and then do the big Court of Owls. They've been behind it the whole time, and Joker's kind of the wild card that isn't from the Court of Owls. He's his own, whatever the case may be.
So, like, all the villains would originate from Court of Owls, or in one way.
Yeah, because
that's cool.
they had the Waynes. He's the standout. The court know who he is. They're trying to take it out, eliminate or not have this beacon of hope for Gotham, so to speak. They want to shut down any sort of hope. Very similar to what we just rewatched to watch the Hunger Games, if you've watched those.
Yeah.
Yeah, so kind of like how she was that symbol of hope, and you've got to give them just a little bit of hope, but you don't want to give them enough. Kind of make that the essential storyline. You kind of need to do the Oliver Queen storyline from Arrow. Give them just a little bit. There's still somebody important.
It's also similar to the Nolan trilogy, because like the League of Shadows was kind of similar. They all found a way of kind of tying back in one way, but except for Joker, which is just pure anarchy. Like that would be cool for him to kind of be the only one who's like, no, I'm doing my own thing. That'd be really cool.
Because Court of Owls is not new, but relatively new to the story. That came out in when did that comic come out? The Court of Owls.
2011? 10 years ago. Good Lord.
So, when did the last Nolan trilogy come out?
2012.
So, that story very much reflects the Nolan trilogy.
Yeah, it was definitely a callback, because like the League of Assassins or League of Shadows was never, like, Ra's al Ghul was always a big part of Batman, but like the League of Assassins or Shadows, depending on which continuity you're talking about, they never played that big of a role. They were always just henchmen for Ra's. So the Court of Owls kind of took that idea and fixed it, made it a little bit, it kind of blended the two there. So man, this has been great. Been going for right about an hour now. So trying to see if there's anything else we wanted to touch on. Coming off of this,
I want to touch on that, and then we can wrap up. But what villain? We're having Penguin. We're having Riddler. You obviously want Joker at some point towards the end. But by the way, if you're going to do Joker, you've got to do the most perverse, fucked up individual you can possibly do.
It's got to be R-rated.
Yeah, you've got to do dark. But in between those two, you need something in the middle, and you've got the serial killer Riddler.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Bane again. I don't think Bane works for this. Mr. Freeze doesn't work. That's too out there, in my opinion.
I don't know. See, there's enough unrealistic stuff that happens in these movies that, to me, I think these, from the trailers, these have a really good blend of, these are still comic book movies, but Batman's also just a dude. To me, they capture that element really, really well. So I could see a Bane or Mr. Freeze or something I could see Man-Bat even, or Clayface. I can see something like that, but I don't want to see that in the second movie.
I would have loved a Black Mask if they wouldn't have done the Black Mask already. I think that would have been a perfect second villain.
Yeah, but they didn't do Black Mask well, so I mean they can probably do that.
We know that they've already took the shine off the Black Mask.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I was trying to go through my catalog of villains, I
want to see Two-Face and not kill him 30 minutes after he's created. I want to see Two-Face. That'd be really cool. But I want them to do kind of like they did with the animated series. I want to see Harvey Dent in this movie, and in some way, maybe he's Wayne's attorney because people are suing him for things that his dad did. Whatever. Cool. I want to see Harvey Dent. Then I want to see him, the long Halloween thing, like we see in Dark Knight, where it's him, Jim, and Batman, and you see that for an entire movie, and at the very end of the second movie, he becomes Two-Face, and then Two-Face is the villain of the second movie or the third movie or something. I want to see an arc with Two-Face because, the Dark Knight movie was so close to getting it perfect. Even though he was only there for one movie, you cared about him and what happened to him at the end. But they wasted him because they literally killed him 30 minutes after he was created, which they weren't planning on doing a third movie. I get that. But, I would have loved to have seen, and I think people have done, fan scripts and stuff like that of what would Two-Face be like in Dark Knight Rises. That would be cool. I would love to see something like that because that's a good recurring villain who can kind of fill in the space of Black Mask because in a lot of continuities, Two-Face kind of becomes more of a gangster mob kind of guy. So, which seems to be kind of the vibe they're going for with these movies anyway. You know, with Penguin being a mobster, the Falcones and the Maronis are part of this. So, you know, I can see them doing something along those lines for sure. So I would love to see Two-Face. I wouldn't mind seeing them get a little comic booky with some of these. Like, I don't know about something quite as silly as like Clayface, but I could see Bane. But if you're gonna do Bane, just do Venom.
See Bane, but I don't want to see Bane again.
Yeah.
And if they did Bane, god damn it, do the Luchador.
Yes, Luchador with Venom. Like, and it doesn't have to be Venom. Like, you don't have to do the tubes or whatever. He's a wrestler. Guess what? They use steroids in wrestling. It happens all the time. Venom is just a steroid that he uses. Okay. I'm sorry, John. I didn't know if you knew that, but
I'm on the gas clearly with my fat ass.
you're yoked like it ain't no joke. If you were an egg, you'd be double yoked, my guy. But yeah, just what's that?
That if I was an egg, I'd be cracked, son.
Yeah. Like, if you're going to do Bane, yes, absolutely, him be a luchador and Venom is just some steroid that he's on. I think that'd be awesome. And you don't have to do the tube thing, but, like, to me, like, the Nolan trilogy, because, again, Venom is a crucial part of who Bane is. So if you're going to do it right. Even Gotham got that right. And Gotham gets so much wrong. And they got that right. So do something like that. It'd be really cool. I don't necessarily want to see a back break, though. I know that's an iconic Bane moment. I want to see Arkham Origins Bane. Arkham Origins Bane is without a doubt the best version of Bane there is. He's cunning. He's intimidating. He's scary. That's a great costume. Very luchador-esque. Like, that's the best version of Bane. Even better than Dark Knight Rises. Like, that's what I want to see. I don't want to see Pattinson get his back broke and it magically get fixed. You know, I just don't want to see that. But it'd be cool to see him as a character. Wouldn't mind seeing, something like Poison Ivy. I don't see them, even if they do a Joker, I don't see them doing a Harley Quinn. Especially since Margot Robbie is still so popular as Harley Quinn. I love her as Harley. I don't think they're going to, because she makes them money. I don't think they're going to do another Harley, another girl as Harley. So I'm fine with that. Harley at this point has progressed beyond being Joker's henchwoman. So I'd be fine with if she is Harley, kind of going the Gotham route where she is her own character in a weird way. Like, that'd be fine. I would really just rather not see Harley. We have enough. Trying to think if there's any other villains that I want to see. I'll tell you one that I would love is the ventriloquist. But, like, City of Scars ventriloquist, where he is just weird. Like, it's creepy. Like, I would love to see something like that. And also, like, we've talked a lot about Bat in the Sun and some of the stuff that they've done. Like, I really like their interpretation of ventriloquist. He's just this creepy old man, but, like, the doll still talks by itself. Like, that would be a really cool element to throw. That's just comic booky enough where you're going to please the comic fans, but it's also, like, is this real? Is this not? Like, that'd be cool. Another one, borrowing again from Dying is Easy, from Bat in the Sun, is their interpretation of Mad Hatter. You've seen Dying is Easy, right? So they kind of made a change. It's not really a change. There's some things that are implied about his character that we're not going to talk about. I know that this isn't exactly family friendly, but there's some subject matter we just won't talk about here. But there is a preference that Mad Hatter has in that interpretation of his character, that if Matt Reeves and them, if they had the balls to tackle something like that, that would be really cool, because I really want to see how Pattinson would react to that.
Now you put that in the second movie, have Pattinson save one of those kids.
Yeah.
And you've got a Jason Todd.
That's a great idea. Oh. That is a great idea, because that's another opportunity. People are going to think I'm an SJW. I'm not. But that is a good opportunity, because usually when we see victims like of that in movies, tends to always be women, which granted that happens. Obviously, it happens. But I don't know of too many movies where it's a male victim, and some of the struggles that might come with that. Like, if you wanted to go social justice warrior and make this movie super woke, that would be a cool, not cool, but, you know, like, that's a string for your bow if you wanted to do something like that. But that might be a little too deep for a Batman movie. But, I mean, that stuff happens. But, unfortunately, but don't go into too much detail about that like I just did. But, yeah, him being a Mad Hatter victim, that would be cool. That would be really cool. I can't believe I didn't think about that. So I can edit it, make it look like. John, what would you think if Jason Todd was a Mad Hatter?
Yeah, because you can even play that up and then have the third movie end with Jason getting killed by Joker. Like, that's the last straw. He's got to pick between saving Jason or all these other people. The classic Mary Jane and the people on the trolley situation, you know,
but with actual consequences.
But then have Jason get killed, and then leave it open, leave that cliffhanger, leave that feeling of emptiness. Like, I don't think they have to do. That's another thing. I don't think trilogies should have to have like such a closed case ending. Sometimes you need to leave some, like, you know. That's why I like the ending of the original Dexter a lot, because it left a lot, like, to be like. And everybody hated that ending. Now this new season's banging, and I love it, and I'm glad they brought it back, and it's my favorite show ever. But I sometimes enjoy that moment of, you don't have to close every door. Now sometimes there are movies that don't close enough doors. Like for me, Us. I know you're not a fan of horror films, but that movie left way too much open for me, because I was like, now what are we gonna do? We hold hands around the world. What happens next? It's a long, yeah. Anyway.
I'll take your word for it. I don't think it should have a clear-cut ending. I think you kind of leave room for potential sequels. Like, I don't like it when, and I think the Nolan trilogy did this best. Don't make a trilogy. Make a movie. Focus on that, but leave the movie open-ended enough. Like at the end of Batman Begins, when they did the thing from year one, where like, hear about this wacko, you know, goes by Joker, you know, like, that's cool. And they don't have to do a movie after that. You don't even have to do Joker after that. Just like Batman's story continues, unless you kill him at the end, which I don't want to see them do. But like, the fight goes on. So like, leave it open enough, and that way, if it's successful and you're greenlit for a sequel, you've already got a story. It's kind of like what The Incredibles did. Like, none of us thought who thought I was going to go to that. It's kind of like The Incredibles. There was no intention on doing an Incredibles 2, and it took, 10 years for a sequel? And what I love about it is, you know, it ends with a whole Underminer thing, and that's where the sequel starts. Like, I thought that was, when I was I was a kid watching that when the first one came out. I was a grown man when the second one came out, and I was like, man, I'm so excited they started with the Underminer. Like, whatever.
I didn't like the second one. It was it was the same storyline.
No, I didn't like the second one at all. But I did at least appreciate that 10 years later they remembered the end of the first one. Like, that's fine. And make your movies like that. Don't sequel bait the entire thing. That's what drives me nuts with these MCU movies is I love references, I love Easter eggs, but Jesus, just focus on the movie you're making right now. Don't try to, you know, just throw in, you know, oh, wouldn't you love to see this? And then it inevitably be disappointing because you forgot you were doing that and then you shoehorned it into this movie. Like, just focus on the movie you're making now. Throw in some Easter eggs. Leave it a little open-ended at the end, just in case. And then move on. Even if you only intend on making a trilogy, leave that last one somewhat open-ended. Just let us know that the story is going to continue. You may never see it, but that's just how Batman stories are, you know? And I think that'd be really cool. I did not like the ending of the Nolan trilogy, although I guess I'm glad that it came to a conclusion. But I don't know. Like, to me, I don't like I almost would have rather him die at the end. Like, I feel like that would have been a fitting end. That was a cool callback when you see him at the cafe. Like, that would have been cool. But I don't know. It's kind of like Arkham Knight, where it's like, I think Arkham Knight had a good ending. Like, is that Batman? Is that Azrael? Is that someone like that? Like, but it doesn't matter. There's still a Batman. Like, that'd be cool. But I guess they kind of did that with Dark Knight Rises, but everyone just thinks they're Robin because they're idiots. And they say Robin. Maybe I'm the idiot. Anyway, well, man, John, thank you for being my first guest. I really appreciate that, dude.
Yeah, I don't feel like we've talked about a lot, but we've also talked about a lot. So
that's usually how these calls go. We talked for a few minutes before we even started this, and then, this has gone on for about an hour and 15, something like that. And it's been an absolute honor to have you. Like I said, this is our baby. We started BatChat, and I know you're not able to be a regular on it. And even this, for those of you that haven't been able to figure this out, is pre-recorded. But I wanted to make sure that you were the first guest.
Props.
What's that?
When this drops live, like whenever you put this out, I will be somewhere in spandex. Okay.
Yeah.
And in between a pair of ropes, probably getting my ass kicked. Because that seems to be how it goes most of the time.
Sounds about right, but it'd be all right. But yeah, there was no one else I'd rather have as my first. Huh?
So then I'll leave my house and go to a wrestling event.
Right. Well, hey, there's no one else I'd rather have as my first guest. I really appreciate you being on here. We talked about a lot, yet nothing. But that's pretty much how BatChat goes. So for those of you that are wondering how this is going to go from now on, I will be hosting BatChat live every Saturday, 2 p.m. Central. And I will also be uploading it to some podcast, the audio version of this, to some podcast hosting network. I'm still working out the details on that. If you see a link in the description, that's where I did it. Once I figure that out, I'll gladly talk about it. But this is obviously a perfect podcast to listen to on your way to work and everything. But if you want to catch it live, like I said, every Saturday, 2 p.m. Central Time, you'll see me talking with whatever guest. And we will also be doing cool things like a cosplayer of the week, where I will feature a cosplayer. I'm trying to focus on smaller cosplay pages because, there's just so much competition out there. So many people thinking, that, their crap don't stink because you've got a certain following. And I'm just not a big fan of that. So I'm going to be promoting a local cosplayer. I say local cosplayer. I'll be supporting a cosplayer. That was hard to say, every single week. And you can always vote on that. You can follow the link in the description below to my Instagram page, and I'll be putting out a poll in the middle of the week, and you can send out who you think should be featured. Please don't nominate yourself, especially 3 times.
Yeah, Aaron.
It was not Aaron. It was other people. But yeah, don't promote yourself. This is about lifting others up. Sounds like we're in church. This is about promoting other pages. So if you know a cool cosplayer with a small to medium sized following you think deserves a bigger following because they're just awesome, let me know. Send that my way, and I'll be happy to promote them every week. Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah, a cool cosplayer with a small to medium size like us following, then.
Right, exactly. Well, and obviously John's Instagram will be linked in the description below, JCJ Maker Studio, and everything that you need will be in the description below. Probably nothing will be in the description below because I always forget to fill those out, but hopefully I'll put those in there.
I have a second?
Yes.
You can also follow me at JCJ Gear on Instagram, JCJ Maker Studios. On my YouTube, I do a lot of stuff on there. All over the place. You're going to see wrestling gear. You're going to see random Batman content, I'm sure, occasionally. Working on doing stuff with action figures. I'm on a weird kick. Like, I've always loved action figures, but I'm working on kind of messing around with doing stuff there. And, I just want to say thank you for having me back on here. I always enjoy getting to strap on and strap in with my buddy. And, I mean, we're the strap-on pals at this point. You know what I mean? Like, we just strap on whenever we can and we ride. We just ride off into the sunset as much as we can. So I just want to say thank you to Derek, and just keep on strapping and keep on pumping through your life, bud. I'm glad to see all your success, and I'm glad everything has come to you that has. You know what I mean? Like, just let the world flood your body with greatness.
And if you want to see more of what John is doing with these action figures, I'll link his OnlyFans. Anyway, you did so good up to that point. Oh, man.
What are you talking about?
I knew it was coming. Giggity.
What are you talking about?
Nothing. That was very sweet, John. Oh, sorry, I had to get off camera a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I'm shedding a tear. That was beautiful, man.
I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I was just trying to have like a nice moment with my pal.
John, I love you, man. I appreciate you very much, and I'm glad to have you on BatChat. And I'll link your other pages on here as well. That way, so JCJ Gear, John Cody Jenkins, JCJ Maker Studio, all that stuff. I'll link it all in the description below so you guys can follow that lovely bald man. But thank you guys so much for watching. I was about to do the outro, but then I remembered we still got to do the cosplayer of the week. So everyone say bye, John.
Who's the cosplayer of the week? I want to know. Bye.
Lindsay did say bye. You didn't hear it, but Lindsay did say bye. Okay, now let's move on to cosplayer of the week. All right, so I forgot about that bit at the end. Oh, goodness. Yeah, funny thing. I just got back from, well, before I started this. Why is it not focusing? Focus on me. Focus on me, camera. It's because it sees Batman in the background there. I got home in just enough time to start this live stream from the gym because, you know, your boy is swole. Whatever. So I'm actually going to be doing the cosplayer of the week portion live for you guys. Let's go ahead and see cosplayer of the week. That is not it. I'll update this as I go because that's how professional I am. I'll even turn my camera on so you can see me if that is something that you guys are, you know, just kind of into. Sorry about that. Let's get to where you can see me. There I am. All right. Like I said, this is a live show, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you guys are enjoying that. Okay. So, actually, I'm going to make myself a little smaller. Ooh, hey, what's going on there? Put myself in the corner here. And let's just get some people promoted on here. So, this week's cosplayer of the week, and just so you guys know, this is a random selection based on what people send in, and I'll also throw in a few people that I think should be nominated, but again, it is completely random. And this week's cosplayer of the week is well, I misspelled his name there. It's just rxrprops. Let me fix that. There we go, rxrprops. And let me see if I've got some pictures I can share from him. He's got some really great content, to be honest with you. Let me just get these added in here real quick. So he is actually a local cosplayer, which is really cool. Again, this is all completely random. I just, you know, he was suggested by a few different people, and I was able to get him added in here. This is some great cosplays that he has done. And again, local cosplayer. Look at that Doc Ock. Isn't that a fantastic Doc Ock cosplay? I wish I was able to get the video of this. Those arms actually do move. I met him at SpaCon, and just absolutely phenomenal cosplayer. Super nice guy, and has some really cool cosplays. That's one he took at SpaCon. I think that might have been from last year, but I could be wrong about that. But super cool dude. That's an excellent War Machine armor that he did. Really cool stuff. And again, super nice guy. I just wanted to kind of give him a shout out. And you know, that's something I want to do here on BatChat, where we talk about smaller smaller pages. I think, oh, sorry, my Instagram was talking to me there. This guy will be linked in the description below. Give this guy a follow. I mean, you obviously can see, I mean, just look at these cosplays, just top-notch stuff. Definitely deserves a much bigger following than he has. So feel free to check him out. Link will be in the description below. Again, look at that Doc Ock cosplay. And definitely go, it's worth it to give him a follow just to see the video of those things moving. It was so cool to see in person. I'm nerding out. This guy is really, really cool. So really, really fun, and it was really cool that I was able to promote a local cosplayer. Like I said, it's just a random draw. I will be putting out a poll on my Instagram, which again, the link will be in the description below if you want to find me there. But yeah, you can go on there and vote and nominate different cosplayers. Again, please don't nominate yourself, and try to refrain from nominating, super big name cosplayers who don't exactly need my help promoting them. I'm really trying to stick to people with less than 1,000 followers if possible. rxrprops and projects. Rob, thanks for the love. Absolutely, my friend. I didn't know you were still in the chat. Yes, absolutely, my friend. Great work. Absolutely love your cosplays, dude. I mean, just absolutely fantastic. It was an honor to meet you at SpaCon. Hopefully we can meet up next time. We chatted a little bit before the show, and I think you said you're going to try to be at SpaCon this year. Hopefully that's not a spoiler, but yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you there, my friend, and looking forward to seeing what you come up with next. Let me get over to the main screen again so we can get on out of here. All right, we're back. Guys, thank you so much for being a part of this first episode of BatChat. This was a ton of fun. I'm still learning the ropes of this new process. For those of you who've been with me for a while, I've done it several different ways. I did it where it was completely pre-recorded, where John and I would get on a Skype call, and because we are us, we didn't realize you can actually record those Skype calls, so we would have our webcam here and then have a camera pointed at us, and then I would go back and try to edit all of that stuff, which is interesting. And it was an absolute nightmare. So it was all pre-recorded. Then I tried to do it live, but I had a much less secure internet connection there. By the way, Sydney, I'm not ignoring your messages about the awesome Doc Ock arms. This is back live, so there's your shout out. So anyway, so I had a much less secure connection, so I wasn't able to get OBS to work. So finally, I'm just like, I'm going to keep it super simple and just go live on Instagram, which worked pretty well. But, this year I wanted to kind of step things up a little bit. And a lot of you guys said, I would rather have this be in like a podcast form. So you will be able to do that. I've got that set up. So you can actually go in the description below and find links to the podcast. It should go live tonight, because what I got to do is take this recording and convert it over. So I don't know exactly what time they tend to go live. It just depends on when my host decides to post them. But definitely feel free to go and check those out. You can also follow me on iTunes, podcast, as well as Spotify. Those are the only ones I'm on right now, I believe. I could be on iHeartRadio. I'm not too sure. Sydney, I forgot you were live. Yeah, the interview was pre-recorded, but I'm back to being live now. But yeah, so I'm on a couple different podcast networks. Links to all that will be in the description below. Give me a follow on Instagram if you want some updates as well. And before we go, I definitely have to shout out, speaking of Sydney, have to shout out my guest for next week. And that is, of course, the wonderful, the wonderful Sydney. I absolutely adore this girl and love that photo. Of her epic shoulder armor that she is wearing as a hat. Just totes adorbs. Absolutely love that. I sound like a total millennial right now when I say that, but ain't she cute? I just love that. Really, really funny. So yes, Sydney will be joining me next week, and that will be a very fun episode. We will probably just be gushing over wrong word to use there, but we'll probably be just completely fanboying and girling over Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. I'm going to leave that photo up. I was going to put my camera up so you guys can see my lovely face, but I think I'm just going to leave that up. The world needs to experience that. But we'll probably just be going nuts over No Way Home and stuff like that, and talk about Spider-Man. That tends to be the center of our conversations for the most part. But yes, I will be having Sydney next week. She will also be linked in the description below on this episode as well as next week. So definitely be looking forward for that. And at some point on Instagram, okay, Sydney, I'll end the torture. I'll go back to my face and just torture everyone else. But I will be putting a section in my Instagram for a section. What am I saying? A sticker in my Instagram story for you guys to be able to send in questions to Sydney and I, and we will be answering those live, and it'll be a lot of fun. Well, I say live. We're still trying to decide if we're going to do that pre-record, if we're going to do it live. You guys let me know what you want to do. But no, it's all up to Sydney and however she wants to do it. But it would be so much fun. Guys, again, thank you so much for being on this first episode of BatChat for 2022. Huge shout out to my boy John. Sorry you couldn't be here live with me, brother, but hopefully you are not dealing with too much torment in your wrestling match. I was just totally blanking for a minute. Again, this is a live show, everyone. But thanks to everyone who stayed here and watched and who are listening to the podcast. Links to everyone and everything is in the description below. I am on Ko-Fi as well if you guys want to buy me some coffee, as if I need any more stimulants. I'm already a bit of a caffeine junkie, but if you want to support my habit, I would definitely be grateful for that. One quick question from the Cow Vault before we close out. Derek, do you have kids? If so, how do you manage cosplay collection funds? Our first child will be here next month. Dude, congratulations. So I'm going to have to adjust my spending. Dude, holy crap. Congratulations. That is awesome. You have a kid coming next week or next month. Next month. Oh, man. That is fantastic, my friend. So I don't have any kids, which is why I'm able to do all this. So no kids just yet, just a bunch of nieces and nephews, and that is more than enough for me at this point, but who knows what the future may hold. Absolutely adore my nieces and nephews, love them to pieces. My nephew is really fun, or one of my nephews, I should say, is under the impression that I am actually Batman. It's really the cutest thing ever. He was, I'll tell this quick story, then we'll head out. It was a couple years ago for Halloween, and he was Robin, and he has seen my bat suit in my office before, and he wanted to be Robin, and he wanted me to be Batman, and he was a little nervous about being around the suit, because, I mean, it is kind of intimidating. I think he was, I can't remember how old he was at the time, maybe 3. So he was, he was pretty small at the time. And so he came over and literally, saw every part of the process of me being put into the suit, which was probably very traumatic for him. But I wanted him to see that it was me, and because he's comfortable around me, but he was a little worried about Batman, and he was totally fine with me until I put the cowl on. Then it was over with, even though he saw me put the cowl on. But from that day on, he was just under the impression that I was Batman. And it's not even that I dress as Batman. He thinks I'm actually Batman, which is so cool. Every time he sees Batman on TV, or for Christmas, he got a Batman action figure, and he's like, that's Uncle D. It's the cutest thing ever. The bad news is, if I ever do a birthday party, he can't be invited to those birthday parties because he'll just ruin it for the other kids. Every time someone request me to do birthday party appearances, which I do, by the way. Just if you happen to be in the Arkansas area, I'd be happy to do it. Or if you're willing to fly me out, I'll do a birthday appearance pretty much anywhere. I have to ask, hey, just make sure you don't invite him, because he will ruin it for everyone else, because he'll just spoil everyone and tell them my secret identity. But anyway, I just thought that was a fun story. So no kids for me. But, man, congratulations on your first child next month. That is absolutely fantastic, my friend. Congratulations to you and your presumably better half. Just kidding. I'm fairly sure she's your better half, but that's usually how these things go. But congratulations, my friend, and hope to see some father-child cosplays. That would be, that's, at this point, if I'm having kids, it's just so I can have a Robin. I'm kidding. Or am I? But I'm going to stop that here. Guys, again, thank you for watching BatChat. Feel free to join every Saturday, 2 p.m. Central Time is when we're going to be going live on YouTube. Later on tonight, you will see the podcast drop. You can always come back and watch this after the fact and see the live chat that is happening as it goes. You can always do that. And I will include time codes for the YouTube video as well, so you can skip ahead to different sections and make it easier to blackmail me when I say something stupid, which is liable to happen on a live show. So guys, without further ado, feel free to join me next week, same bat time, same bat channel, for the next episode of BatChat. You guys have a blessed weekend, and I'll see you next week.